Hey Catherine, Erin here. I thought I'd just give you a quick video to let you know of a few changes to your document. First of all, just be careful. I've underlined Romain Duroy here only because you have Romain Duroy here as well, but that one's italicized. So you just need to be consistent when you're typesetting. And if you're finding it difficult to read through the entire document because it is quite time consuming, you can use find change and then do a search for Romain Duroy, and then that will tell you all the different areas within your document where that piece of text will appear. Okay, going back up to the first page, I've got this pink perforated line because basically on your second page you've got almost like an invisible margin down the bottom, and then on this first page the layout falls outside of this margin. It's not such a big deal, but if you were to keep this large margin at the bottom, it would just make your layouts that little bit more consistent. Another thing is, because this document was given to you without a grid necessarily, or bottom margins, there's no hard and fast rule to say you can't do what you've done, but I'm just being a little bit picky and letting you know that generally if you have margins, you stick within those margins. Here I think I've underlined this because it is from another language, which is fine, but again you just need to make sure that they are all italicized if you're going to do that, and perhaps create a different hierarchy for this what's your type. Maybe you don't need to have any hierarchy for that, but at the moment you're saying that what's your type and this this second language over here is a part of the same hierarchy or the same kind of information. So what you want to try and do is, if it's an exhibition, then that's either not in a different style, or it's in a different style again to the body copy and to these italicized areas for the other languages. You've also got here on your images that you've put the annotations on top of the image, and it's probably even a bit too large. I reckon you could go smaller again. And then here you have the annotations that sit outside of the images, so just make sure it's consistent. If you're going to put it on the image, then make sure that they're on all of the images. Also this guideline, so you have the text that finishes here on the first page, but then the text finishes the next line down on the following page. Again, if you're going to work with a really strong gridded structure, then I would make sure that there's a straight line across both spreads. How you'd get around that is by resizing these images. Draw a ruler guide down like this across both spreads, and then say you want to finish your layout there, then you would select that image and drag it up to that ruler guide. Same with here, and then just adjust the column here so that the text finishes on that line. The other thing I've noticed is that your text hasn't been aligned to the baseline. So there's a Lynda tutorial that I can forward on to that, but basically it is, if you're typesetting if you hit the Pilcrow, this button here is aligned to baseline grid. So remember when we spoke about if your baseline grid is, let me just show it. If you've got a 12-point baseline grid, all of your body copy needs to be divisible by 12 point, and similarly all of your headings need to be divisible by 12 point, so that there's a consistency with how the baseline grid works. Look, the baseline grid is a little bit challenging, and it's quite an advanced technique that's used in publication design. So if you want to go over that next week, that's fine. And there was also, I think, an exercise on baseline grids that was in the server that you could have taken home. Okay. So all I'm saying here is that if you have a look at that blue guide that I've dragged along, that light blue guide sits at the bottom of that text, but then it doesn't sit at the bottom of that text on that side. So that's what I mean by the baseline grid. So again, if I go up here, that text doesn't align to the baseline grid across that spread and that spread. They're different. Also, I've highlighted, sorry, let me just get rid of the guide. Also, I've highlighted this here only because this start of the U and then that after appears a little bit weird and the rag is slightly uneven on that side. So what I might be inclined to do is just to adjust, manually adjust that using the tracking. You may even want to change a word. Similarly, down here, that text was removed. That again, it's not a hard and fast rule to say that what you've done is wrong, but it just looks a little bit strange having that one sentence there sitting all by itself. On this side, you've got two widows sitting there, and I'd also question the layout of this page altogether. That column's very, very thin, and what you've done essentially is it's almost as though you've said this information is more important than this information because I've given it more wider columns and larger dominance on the page. As soon as you typeset it in a small column like that, it's almost as though it's an annotation and it's not part of the body copy. So a way to get around that is perhaps think about what you can do to the image. Maybe keep the same column width as these two over here and then play around with the positioning of the pull quote or the subheading and this image. You can change the size of the image, but for me that layout's not working quite yet. And one last little thing is you've got a hyphen there, so just change that to an M dash. Okay, and otherwise it's looking pretty good. So before you submit, can you just resend me, make those changes and then just resend me the artwork and I'll let you know how you're going. Okay, thanks, bye.